I heard a knock upon my door the other day. I open it to find it staring in my face. The fear of mortal stalker still reverberates everywhere I go. Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today. Oh, there we go. There's Dashi. Everyone say hello to Dashi. This is a Bitcoin update video, but I'm also going to incorporate Tesla, Pi, Pokemon in this as well. Kind of an all-around thing, just because most of everything I do or have done the last month is because of Bitcoin. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice, even though the first business that I had started in 2017 was as a financial advisor, high-risk lending. When a business owner is very, very profitable, if you knew how to do it, if you knew how to underwrite. I will make a video on how to underwrite at some point. I just need to find the time to do it. And why I walked away from that, why originally I wasn't going to walk away from it, I was just going to stop funding, which I did, was because I thought that even though something high risk that could yield me 30% a year, which is incredible, even though I was very, very good at it, my default rate was very, very low, meaning the people that I gave money to would almost never default, almost always pay back. Where a lot of other people's, there was 10% default rates, 12%, that's so big, but making 30%, 10% default, yeah, you're making about 20% every year, which is still great. But mine was very close to zero. So I go and I say okay, well, if you look at Bitcoin, and I'm going to read an article that Michael Saylor tweeted, not one that he wrote, just one that he tweeted, and saying okay, well, I'm not. Even though I thoroughly enjoy, I think Tesla will be a $6 trillion company by 2030. I think it will 10x from here, just my opinion. I go and I say okay, well, 10x, but Bitcoin I think can 20x, be over $1 million a coin before 2030. Okay, well, I should put it in Bitcoin. So I stopped lending. I stopped doing the high risk lending business, and all the money that's coming back to me that I'm getting paid back every week, because high risk lending you get paid back every week, not every month, a little bit each week. And I was okay, I can definitely go and put this money into Bitcoin. So I'm living off some savings and I'm putting everything I have into Bitcoin. Now there is a game called Earth 2, and that's where a lot of my subscribers come from. There's a game that I put maybe 10 grand into, and long story short, there's a finite amount of these tiles that you can get. Similar to Bitcoin, there's a finite amount of them. But there is something as a creative aspect as well, which I'm also very creative. So I put about 10 grand into that, and yeah, I got well over 50 grand in that now. And I just started in December. So I could take that 50 grand and put it into Bitcoin, but I won't, just because that has the potential, just the potential, to 100x from where it is right now. And for me personally speaking, if I'm talking to a friend, my friend Steve, hey, I'll do what Michael Saylor says. Yeah, Steve, if you have a house, take out a second mortgage, equity, credit line, whatever you can, and put all that into Bitcoin. Doesn't matter what the interest rate is, 3%, 5%, 8%. If Bitcoin goes up 200% a year, okay, well, you're making a lot on your money. Again, that's just what I would tell my friend, not any rando off the street, because I don't know their financial situation. But just to read this article here, it's called "Is Bitcoin Too Big to Fail?" It was retweeted by Michael Saylor. He did not write it. Adam Pure wrote it last month, and he says, "Quote: Just before the last Bitcoin bubble popped, around the time socialite Paris Hilton issued her own digital token, and idealists and amateurs across the world were still tipsy in the idea of circumventing Wall Street, central banks, and the usual billionaires with new digital currencies, Mike Novogratz was finishing up a talk at cryptocurrency conference in New York City." I did not go see that, although I wanted to. Novogratz, a former Goldman Sachs executive turned Bitcoin advocate, had given many such speeches before, usually to an audience of staid financial types. This time, however, he stepped off the stage to a mob of millennials and a rock star's greeting. Quote, "Literally pictures, pictures, pictures," he says, end quote. So everybody wants a selfie. Some girl came up to him and started quaking, "Can you sign this?" It was really weird. So he started selling. Now, it was a smart move because by 2019, Bitcoin, which is a famously volatile digital currency, had dropped to less than $4,000. Now, in recent months, however, it has once again started a steep upward trajectory, rising from $11,000 in September to $24,000 in December. And after Tesla announced that in January they had purchased $1.5 billion of Bitcoin, it had passed $40,000 in January and hit $61,000 in March. Now, it's about 58,000, 59, maybe 60 right now as of the making of this video. What I tell people, what I did at Tesla a lot, it's like, okay, like I'll continue to buy at the top. Like it was, let's say 350, like during the, like let's say it was 900, and this is before the split. Let's say it's 900, drops down to 350, buy. And I'm buying all the way down and I'm buying all the way up because I did so much research into it and realized that it is incredibly undervalued. They have won the decade in terms of electric vehicle cars, and just nobody else is touching them. So I was buying all the way up at the top until recently when I really looked into Bitcoin. I was like, oh, this 20x that I'm thinking by 2030, before 2030, I had to put before 2030 now because it is looking conservative. It is looking conservative to the point that it could do that by 2027. Just because right now, most people that are into Bitcoin, you ask any old person, any boomer, any person collecting Social Security, they're not into Bitcoin. And where is most of the wealth in this world? Where's 75% of the wealth? It's between 50 and 75-year-olds. It is such a, and all of this $1 trillion market cap that Bitcoin has, which is a nice number, which only took 12 years to do. That's with young people. That's young people like you and me. And I know there's a couple of teenagers that watch me like, Chavez, you're 30, you're not young. Okay, I'm not my 20s anymore, but I, ask any 60-year-old with think how old a 30-year-old is. You're a baby. You're young. Your life's just starting. Ask any 40-year-old. It's just like, yeah, 40's young. Ask them about. Anyway, moving on. This time around, things are different in at least one respect. It's not just the hoi polloi, what type of word is that, who are powering the cryptocurrency's rise. The financial establishment had also added its considerable fuel to the Bitcoin rocket ship. With interest rates hovering around zero, governments taking on trillions in COVID stimulus debt, and stock valuations reaching levels that some investors consider absurd, corporate chieftains and institutional investors have grown increasingly desperate for a place to stash their money. In February, big investors including Tesla's chief Elon Musk, BlackRock, the world's largest money manager and banking powerhouse, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley, revealed plans to trade Bitcoin and invest it on behalf of some customers. Now, both Visa and MasterCard said they plan to add cryptocurrencies to their payment networks following the December announcement by PayPal CEO Dan Schulman to allow U.S. users to buy and sell and hold crypto. Billionaire Mark Cuban has also endorsed Bitcoin. He's more of an Ethereum guy, I think, as well. Now, what do the arrival of smart money sets mean for long-term viability of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies? Policymakers and economists such as Berkshire Hathaway's Charlie Munger and incoming Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen have warned about destabilizing effects of a second Bitcoin bust, which could wind up vaporizing the wealth of regular investors caught up in the frenzy. I don't know if they're saying that just to cover their butts, because anything could happen. Have a solar flare and go to zero. But for the most part, yeah, no, I think they're just boomers. They just don't understand. The policy mandarins have revived talk of previous speculative bubbles like the 17th century Dutch tulip mania, the disreputable past of cryptocurrencies as a medium for the criminal underworld, and the energy consumption needs of the continuously updating globally distributed 10,000 node computer network used to mine Bitcoin and track the ownership of roughly 18.7 million Bitcoins currently in circulation. Now keep in mind, there is about 900 Bitcoin mined each day, and about 2,700 get bought up by Square, Grayscale, MicroStrategy, Tesla, just a couple of different companies purchasing 2,700 of these every single day. So here's the supply that's coming in every day. Here's the chunk that's being taken. All right, that is 3x. And the price is right now just staying the same. And myself, I put in as much as I can. Every single money that I have aging receivable coming in that's not going to paying bills is going specifically to Bitcoin. And like I said, for those that don't know, I retired on this. I retired off of that successful business, the high risk lending, and my second business, which is Pokemon cards. And why I'm saying, again, I'm not going into high risk that made me 30% a year, but I'm also not selling my Pokemon cards. Now, I have one big deal that's going to go through. I'll let you guys know in the next month or so, what the details on that. But I am not selling because it would make more sense to sell Tesla stock than it would to be Pokemon cards. Only thing is with Tesla stock, you get taxed a butt ton because of short-term capital gains. Even long-term capital gains, 15%, it's a lot. But Pokemon, because it's a business, I can sell all my stuff and buy something else, put something else, another asset, and I don't pay anything. At least until I sell that other asset. Like if I sell Pokemon cards, just collect the cash, yeah, I have to pay, normal business tax. What comes in is income, what goes out is debits, what goes out is expenses. But if I sell $100,000 worth of Pokemon cards and just keep it, yeah, I have to pay a lot of tax on that. But if I put it into another asset, you do not. Ask your accountant for that. Maybe it's different state by state, but my accountant's like, yeah, no, if you put it into another asset, you don't have to pay taxes on that until you sell that other asset. It could be a house, it could be, whatever. So I go, and I'm not selling any Pokemon cards, even though I could sell it and immediately transfer the wealth into Bitcoin. Why I'm not is because I can always accept Bitcoin as payment later down the line. I can't accept Bitcoin payment for my Tesla stock. I just can't do that. But I can totally accept Bitcoin payment for my Pokemon card. So I will not sell those. Those, again, I have outside of the big one, outside of the big one, I have about between $100-ish thousand in other Pokemon cards that I could always liquidate at any point for whatever I need. I won't, but again, that's that. And out of the 18.7 million Bitcoins that are currently mined, you could only mine 21 million. So there is only 2.3 million left. And with that, the amount that is lost forever, probably over 1 million coins. So the 21 million, there's probably only 1 million left, because people that had tens or hundreds of thousands Bitcoin when it was worth pennies, it's gone now. They didn't think of the pennies that they had, and it's like, let me throw away my computer. I lost their passwords, so that's gone. Can never be recovered. Now, moving on. Even if these fears fail to materialize, the upside is not exactly comfortable either. Again, as per the article, if Bitcoin continues to rise as an independent currency, loosely regulated and beyond the reach of local law enforcement and central banks, it could disrupt the world's financial order and make it far more difficult for governments to juice their economies by tweaking the local money supply. The embrace of the big banks and investors could have potentially profound consequences, for better or worse, for the future of money and banking, which is why the U.S. regulators recently proposed a series of stringent new disclosure requirements for entities that sell cryptocurrencies. The Chinese government began testing its own form of digital money, and in March, Indian lawmakers proposed requiring investors to liquidate their holdings in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin within 6 months, and thereafter criminalizing possession. Now, be advised, guys, any government that says, we're going to make our own cryptocurrency, they could just make more of it. So when the U.S. prints $1.9 trillion devaluing because they're printing it, the Federal Reserve, they're just they're devaluing our money. And what do we lose? 15% purchasing power each year? Why would you keep that when the world is changing? Like PayPal is accepting Bitcoin. There's so many of these huge companies are holding Bitcoin. And MicroStrategy, all of their profits go to Bitcoin now. Like $15 million every month. Whenever they have profits, they just buy. So, and why I'm buying at the top is because, like I said, it doesn't matter for me if I buy it at 43,000, 53,000, 63,000, or if it goes up 75,000, because I see it at $1 million a coin in the future. Again, just me. Cryptocurrency cheerleaders like Novogratz, however, say that the killjoys are too late, the die is cast, Bitcoin is here to stay. 75% of the world's wealth is owned by 50 to 85-year-olds. I was wrong before. 50 to 85-year-olds, okay, who buy the investment products of the mainstream players. Now, most of the crypto growth until now has come from young people who we're about to hook this giant pipe up to the wealth of the world. Let's stop right there. There are 3 Bitcoin ETFs in Canada and 2 in Brazil. There aren't any in the U.S. yet. This is the amount of wealth that's in the U.S. is ridiculous. Yeah, powerhouse GDP. There's so many, and again, I'm really talking about people like you and me, like everyday Joes, where we're putting in, let's say a couple grand a month. Let's say I'll have a full Bitcoin before the end of in the next couple of months. But when that big sale goes through, and I have 3 or 4 Bitcoin, yeah, I'm making that public. I'm already pretty vocal about it. Now, it would behoove me to say like, oh, you know what, Bitcoin's trash, because I have a decent amount of subscribers that listen to me, and I could say like, don't do it, don't buy it, and I could go to my thousands of people on Facebook and say, don't do it, don't buy it. People that listen to me because I made a lot of money before, but that's wrong. Like that's wrong. Like no, I want my friends to get money. I want them to protect themselves. I want them to. Again, the world is changing. And that's why I'm all in on this Earth 2 video game, virtual reality. Where do you think the world is going to be in 20 years, 10 years, 5 years? For the younger people that are following me, years go by very, very quickly. You will blink and your 20s are over. It's like, wow, military, gone. Businesses that are owned, like, it's everything that you've done is just, and I'll get into the retirement videos. I'll make it another blog, but yeah, this is insane. So, quote, not everyone is so sure. A recent Citigroup report suggests that the financial world now stands between 2 possible futures. Bitcoin balances at the tipping point of mainstream acceptance or speculative implosion. Now, Citigroup analysts say developments in the near term are likely to prove decisive. That says decisive. In other words, 2021 is shaping up to be the most consequential year in the colorful 13-year history of Bitcoin. And if you look how long it takes companies to reach $1 trillion, no one's ever done it in 10 years. No one else has ever done it. 13 years. I think even like Google and Apple, they took like 20 years, 22 years. Microsoft took them like 40 years. Tesla is not $1 trillion company yet. It will be at some point. Definitely, like I said, I think it'll be $6 trillion company by the end of the decade. The shift of psychology didn't happen overnight, says Novogratz, but the dam finally broke, and the dam broke in the last 3 months, and it feels awesome that the dam broke. Now, it's not much of a stretch to suggest Bitcoin was invented in anticipation of precisely the current economic scenario. Yeah, what happened to the U.S. dollar purchasing power since 1913? Creation of the Federal Reserve. It's up here, and slowly as they print, down and down and down. And each president in my lifetime has made the U.S. government go into more debt than its predecessor and everyone else before it. Each one. Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden not yet, but it'll happen, or Kamala Harris if Biden goes away. So I mean, politically, I'm pretty much in the middle, libertarian. I think the spending is ridiculous, and balance the budget. If you have only a certain amount of money coming in, but you're spending a lot more than that, what do you think is going to happen? Where Bitcoin governments cannot control it. Irresponsible people that are just worried about their next election can't control it. I love that. I love that fact. It is literally to the people. And what I see is that these big giant corporations, like I think it was Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley is just like, yeah, we're going to offer crypto options to our wealthiest, people that have $10 million or more, but at all these poories, no, we're not going to do it. So I think they're just trying to, the U.S. is waiting. I think October 28th they have to approve that ETF, and everyone is scrambling to try and get Bitcoin before the big institutional money comes in. Like Citigroup, when they said Bitcoin could be $300,000 by the end of this year, you think that they're going to print that and not have the everyone that works with them, that worked on that article, not buy? Of course they're buying. When the mysterious computer engineer Satoshi Nakamoto formally launched the Bitcoin network on January 9, 2009, he embedded a message among 31,000 lines of computer code that was impossible to miss. Quote, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. End quote. It read, referring to the front page article in the London Times published the previous week. Obviously, 2008, 2009 was rough due to that economy crash, and when they bail out the banks, that was not good. Should not have done that. A lot of people lost everything. Now, the headline highlighted the most obvious justification for Bitcoin's adoption in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis.
Central bankers across the world were flooding the markets with new currency, tamping down interest rates, and spending billions to stabilize an economy in an effort to stave off a global depression, as they've done during the pandemic. Basically, even though the banks were at fault because they knew exactly what they were doing, approving mortgages that should not have been approved, and just kicking the can down the road in the worst way. Obviously now, hindsight is 2020. We'd all see what went wrong. Like, oh yeah, like of course it's going to end in disaster. And then they got bailed out. Not the people. Yeah, that's, I do not like big banks. I do not like SEC. I do not like any of these big 1%er. And not saying all 1%ers are bad. You got people like, I said, like Michael Saylor. You got Elon Musk. And you have, there's that CEO of Cash, Jack Dorsey, that, you know, trying to change the world, trying to help people out. But a lot of these people just, I think, are just classist, and they just don't like Pori's. They don't like us. Anyway, guys, I love you. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. I have more than 2/3 of the Bitcoin now. I will buy until I cannot anymore. And then I will take out debt and buy more. That's what I'm doing. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. We love you. All right, bye. Meow. Okay.